You know, every time we come back from break, I just remember how lucky we are to have a product like this. And specifically, I'm talking about the song. I'll be honest, guys, Clockwork from North Lane is absolutely incredible. There's just a little bit of extra spice that adds an atmosphere coming into this. When you're hearing it in the headset, there is a certain there's a certain feeling I get, and there's a certain feeling I've got about this matchup coming up, and that is that Roflcopter, they're on the hunt. Wildcard have not been having the best stage nor the best season. They are all the way down the very bottom of the standings. They will be locked in for relegation, which is devastating. Roflcopter on the other side of things, Dev, we'll go to them first and have a bit of a chat about them, because right now they are still pushing for that playoffs position.
Yeah, and look, my notes coming into today was that Roflcopter can get a lock into playoffs if they win in regulation, but only if Overt don't win with 3 points. Now that's off the cards. Roflcopter here, they need every single point that they can get. Plus, they need to hope that Rhythm don't do too well either. So this is going to be a serious challenge that will test Roflcopter's mettle.
And this roster, I mean, Vars, it's one that just like consistently performs to an extent that gets them into playoffs. Yet we haven't seen them since stage 1 really test it. Is this a stage that they might be able to do so?
Based off of their run in stage 3, I don't think so. There's a lot of inconsistency issues with this team regarding kind of their play style, and I think I've mentioned it a few times. I feel like where they go wrong is they often sometimes play to themselves way too much and not to their opponents, and you need a really strong balance in that regard. So, but there's always been potential for this roster. Coming into this season, I had a bit of doubt losing bouncing balls. I felt that they lost a lot of frag power, but it seems a few role changes with Kakin looked like it kind of worked a bit better.
Yep. No, it certainly has. And look, to be honest, I'm really happy with where this roster's at. Inconsistencies all thrown around. I think they're still performing to the point that we do deserve to see them in playoffs. But a team that really has just been missing the mark, Dev, I hate to intro them like this, but they just had so much potential. We all had such high hopes, and it's crashed and burned. Not so much in APAC South, which is just, it's just mind-blowing. But anyway, OCN, this roster, they just haven't been able to punch at the weight we expected.
That's it. Despite bringing on Milo full-time now, bringing on Rousty as a coach as well, they've really cleaned up their team roster. You know, they re-signed with the org, but it just hasn't been what they were looking for. Such a disappointment. They've now lost 4 matches in a row, 3 of which were 7-2s against them to Overt, Bliss, and IG. They did manage to push Order to overtime just on, I think it was last Thursday, but they still lost that anyway. And so Wildcard are really down in the dumps at the moment. You can kind of see it on their faces a lot of the time as well when we cut to them. They really just need to get some kind of energy, revitalize, and every single point counts. Every single win means a bit of confidence back in their side. They are confirmed for Relos, but mate, they just need a win to try and salvage what remains of their mental.
Is the mental in the bin here, Vast?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about, what's going wrong for this team, because it is a very tricky situation. I think mental's a big part of it. I feel like this team doesn't really have the leaders that we're used to seeing Wildcard have. I mean, we talk about Ethan and Diesel being huge leaders for this team, taking them overseas and, versing all these teams, dominating APAC. And I'm just not really... I just feel like there's a lack of leadership in this team that's really hurting them. It just seems like when they start losing, they start losing hard. As Dev mentioned, where's the energy in this team? Where's, those leaders that, when you're, 4-0 down, who's going to be the ones that, bring everyone up and, kind of reset everything. And I just feel like that's the biggest part that's lacking for this team.
This is why we pay you the big bucks. This is why we got you on the desk, Fast. I'll be honest with you. That's what we've got you here for. But let's have a look at the vetoes. Dev, we'll go to you first. This matchup with a bit on the line for Roflcopter, we head to Chalet.
Yeah, look, Chalet is a map that Wildcard only introduced into their map pool in Stage 3, and since then we've seen them play it twice. They beat Order 7-2, which was a fantastic result, very exciting. One of those times where we're like, yeah, is this the Wildcard that we're seeing back in the game again? But then they lost at 7-2 to Bliss more recently. A bit of a concern. As for Roflcopter, we haven't seen them play it in Stage 3, but they did beat Chiefs back in Stage 2. They had a fantastic comeback. They ended up winning an 8-7 overtime game. I'd say this is a pretty split map. It's not neither team's favorite map. I'm just really glad we're seeing Wildcard steer away from Oregon. Well, I guess it was Roflcopter the Bandit in this case. Wildcard also steering away from the Clubhouse, which I think, despite them having some good wins on it, is the right choice here. So this is going to be exciting to see what both of these teams have been working on this map.
Do you agree here, Vast?
Yeah, I just think something to note. You know, Wildcard losing 7-2 to Bliss. Bliss have a completely different playstyle to Rofl. I feel like Rofl and Wildcard share pretty similar playstyles. You know, that slow, methodical kind of working through a checklist, if you will. So I feel like for Wildcard, there'll be less pressure on them that, you know, Bliss were bringing. And I think that they'll be able to, I don't know, maybe think a bit clearly and kind of just work through their game plan. I think this game will be who can play this playstyle better and is a lot more thorough and better with time, to be honest.
It's a pretty good spot on point. Jeez, you're having a great segment.
I'm just on it tonight. What's happening?
You are on it. Before
mate.
we let you go, though, give us your final prediction on this one. What's the scoreline going to be?
I would probably say, I don't know, 7-4 for Wildcard.
Okay.
Whoa, all right.
Yeah. Interesting. Well,
I'm
I guess,
surprised at the Wildcard even.
I just think that just them not having that much pressure might play a bit of a factor. I don't know. That's kind of the thought process. I don't know.
Well, you know what? There's only one way to find out. We're going to get into the server. Vast, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us the insight that we cannot give the viewers at home. But Dev, it's time to find out whether Rofl are going to push Rhythm to their limits in their final match of this play day. But we want to see Wildcard come out swinging. We have to see them swinging. There is not so much something to lose as there is something to gain in this, and that is their dignity.
Absolutely. Wildcard don't have anything to lose, but they have everything to gain. And RoflCopter, well, they have a lot to lose and a lot to gain, but it's somewhat out of their hands. They need the 3-point win, and they need Rhythm to lose to the Knights later tonight in regulation. That's the only way RoflCopter will make it to their third OCN playoffs in 2021. Vast has already prefaced that both of these teams very methodical. That means that the Thatcher and Flores bans will be quite hurtful and really test their mettle when it comes to clearing out utility, clearing out these power positions. The mirror as well is going to mean that it's likely a lot of shield-based play, a lot of nades, a lot of flashes, a lot of burning these ADSs and Wamais. Will the Valk slip through though? I do wonder. It does. So that Wamai ban means that clearing those power positions will be a little bit easier. But that aggressive defense will remain available with the Valkyrie aiding it as well. And I'm excited to see whether both of these teams will opt for that, to look to engage a lot of flanks and vertical C4s.
So nothing too spicy out of the bans here. And I guess that now leans into, again, like you were talking about, the playstyle for both of these teams. We go to Bar and Gaming first to find out whether or not that slow and methodical approach will be kept by Wildcard. Feels like there's just been, for such a long time, we've just been waiting for this roster to unlock, to kind of loosen the chains and hit the ground running. So I would love to, I would love to see a slight little change in play style, but that's just me. You know, we need to see them get the win, and whatever gets them that, whatever feels comfortable for them, we have to see it.
We do see the Valkyrie make her appearance in the first round here. It's OJ playing it at the moment. We go down to Bar, 2 shields as well. It looks like the community vote has spun up as well. The RoflCopter are actually taking the lead here, despite Wildcard's pedigree, despite their history. RoflCopter is still streets ahead.
Left before insertion. Attackers are moving to
Yeah, that's I do definitely feel like it's a bit spicy, and I would tend to agree with it right now. Now, moving into the first round. Let's see what the impact has for OJ. See whether or not he's going to be able to, well, whether or not the entire roster is going to be able to make use of one of the more impactful operators on this map. It's going to be a very slow approach from Wildcard here, clearing from top to bottom and bottom to top. I guess they're trying to meet in the middle here, ensuring that those roamers from Roffle are not too wild. And look at that line from Emo all the way through lobby. That's a good first pick.
Certainly is, but OJ is a very vocal player, and with him on cams, he'll be able to just focus on channeling information to his teammates. That said, Wildcard have made some really good progress. On the back of the opening pick, they've also taken control down of Snowmobile and Wine, and can just start pressuring this top floor hold now. I like this from Milo, though. He's just playing patiently. I think that's overall what we're seeing from Wildcard, and a bit of a remark upon what Vast mentioned on the desk, which is that both of these teams are very methodical. Yeah. And the meta has somewhat shifted on this bomb site. It used to be everyone would just take from solar across, eventually look to library, but now most teams focus on avoiding the top floor until late, until they can fit out the numbers, just mount pressure and keep talking up.
The thing is as well, remembering Wildcard's last game on Chalet, I think it was, Milo was really that player that kind of sweeps on that bottom floor and continues to push the envelope in a certain extent. So I am grateful that we are seeing that kind of repeated. And, oh, geez, Vinny, bit of a pre-fire there, but it could well pay dividends. Hot shot now. He's entering the fray. It's Pat gone down on the thermite, so I wonder how many of those exothermic charges has been used. Geo bites back. This is starting to get a bit more spicy here. Wildcard fighting back with a shot from Milo.
And a critical shot as well. Had that shot gone the other way, Wildcard would definitely be on the back foot, but now they have a 4 versus 2 man advantage. But Milo gets caught. Wedables replace his teammates' positions and finds one. But now it's all on Kakin, the newest member to this roster. He doesn't last long at all. And Wildcard do start strong here on Chalet with an opening attack.
I would dare say all of these rounds are going to be slow and steady wins the race, and it's just going to come down to those opening frags that we find with players like Milo. And the trades were quite, I guess the trades were prompt in a certain extent from Roffle, but Wildcard had just done so much groundwork by the time they were approaching that site that it was very, very hard for Kakin, especially, to get anything done. Hot shot, almost the savior. We are going to move on to kitchen and dining. We're not re-attempting the bar at all. Not even interested in it. And I guess in a round like that where you're not, I mean, Roffle weren't really throwing a spanner in the works, for example. It just felt like Wildcard had a very, very good read of what they were trying to do. I do respect that kind of a decision.
Definitely. And look, we shouldn't be too surprised here as of yet. Chalet is actually quite a heavily attacker-sided map in OCN. We've seen a 63% attacker favor, which is actually far more than any other map in the pool right now. And that's quite a significant sample size as well. We've seen a lot of Chalet so far in OCN Stage 3. So I don't think these teams should be particularly concerned if they're leaking defense rounds. For example, what we're seeing here from Roffle. A 4-2 half is actually expected for the attacking side. So if Roflcopter can find 2, maybe 3 wins here, they'll be very happy.
Standing across here, OJ. Could be a nuisance, little thorn in the side. That cam as well. I mean, that could be devastating if Wildcard try to go for that library approach and clear out the majority of this western side. OJ as well, just ever vigilant, waiting for the opportunity to be given there. But he can't see anything up on the balcony, so that's going to hinder a lot of the decisions that he makes.
Another slow and steady round here for both of these teams. Wildcard will just gradually take map control here on this kitchen dining. Hopefully cut off a lot of rotations and find a pick. Looks like at the moment a lot of pressure is going on to trophy. Oh, here's a run out, and Hotshot does actually find Milo. God, where was that? That must have been
lobby.
Trench. Or was it lobby? That's a big, ambitious run out. There's a trade back, though, as OJ goes down. Wildcard can maintain at the moment a 4v4, just trying to clear out the solar stairs. There's still a player on it, quite a difficult player to flush out as well. Most teams will go below with a bark and go for vertical pressure, but really Wildcard are now just relying on Gio's nade to get the job done.
Might flush him down into the open arms of Vinny. So they're trying to put the pressure on, and that's the nade. That's perfectly done. But Boydie, he might still be able to save a little bit of this pressure. Do they know that? I mean, they can't know that Wettables is injured. So right now, for all they know, it was a miss. It was just a complete swing and a miss. So Wildcard will be approaching this as if it is a 4v3, as if Rofl still have full control.
Yeah, and you clearly have no idea, right? And they're actually abandoning the position, which means they're not going to really capitalize upon that kill. Boydie might... Oh, Boydie's actually going to go for the res. Look at that. Boydie is sneaking his way over, which means this will be a 3v4. Wildcard actually just wasted the progress that they had made, and now there's 40 seconds left. They're going to have to desperately look to push this dining site.
Who is that just on the other side? I'm assuming that is Kakin just by the outline, so he could be quite a nuisance, but lovely work. Emorin making short work of Kakin's position. That's also the smoke with 3 smoke babes down. My goodness, what's going on? Boydie misses the opportunity to deny the entry, and they're going to go deep here. This is what they needed. They needed to stick this plan. Hotshot can't get anything done. Oh my goodness, Boydie, no way off of a yellow ping. He manages to hold on. 5 seconds left. This has to be a post-plant clutch.
1v2 for Boydie, but Emo is watching the position. He sees the angle, a couple of shots, and then backs off. It's Vinny and Emo to hold. Emo lands it. And a great rotate from Wildcard helps them win the 4v3.
What?
And they find 2 rounds in a row.
What was that shot from Emorin?
Emo's nuts.
I mean... That
he's
sucks
nuts.
for Boydie, dude. I mean, like, I saw the shot come in and I just assumed maybe there was like a ping or anything, but
He's nuts.
that's absurd. That is absolutely absurd. And now this is, I guess we're not at that dire point yet, Dev, because, you know, we do preface attacking-sided Chalet does lean into the opportunity for Rofl to bring it back on that second half, but certainly I would say the way that Wildcard have been able to achieve both round 1 and 2, I'm starting to see a bit of the warning bells ring, because you obviously, no matter how defender-sided or attacking-sided it is, you can't really let more than 4 rounds slip. That's the pass mark for pretty much most maps, and right now, we're kind of looking real good.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I was kind of having a bit of a go at them for rotating off when they downed Wettables. I think it was just a bit of a util game, which is funny because usually Wildcard are really good at not wasting their util and making really good use of all of their nades, but it took all 4 nades just to get the down. They couldn't even confirm the kill. And because you don't get any points for like getting the down because there's no notification, they didn't know he was injured, so they rotated off and kind of wasted that opportunity. I had a go at them for that, but I mean, they actually managed to make a really good adaptation. They rotated over. Roflcopter didn't have presence around games, and it meant that when Wildcard went for that dining push and there was no wall denial, they could get the breach open. What's more, they made sure to play aggressively and not go for a passive plant, which was really, really imperative against the Roflcopter setup. So a lot of flashes of greatness from Wildcard. It makes you optimistic.
We've been here before with optimism, though, and we know how far that's gotten us. So, it can always be rough, but I am very happy at what we're seeing so far. Roflcopter, what are they doing to adapt here? What can they do to adapt? Are Wildcard going to continue to put the pressure on, keep the pedal to the metal in a certain respect? You bet your bottom dollar. Here we go. They're going to go ahead and push straight in the bar. They're giving Roflcopter no chances whatsoever. And how could you expect this? This is a great call from Wildcard. They've got site control and they can continue to catch Roflcopter off.
Oh, but that's a big pick from Wettables. If Vinny goes down like that, there's no cover from above, and Roflcopter can freely use that hatch. Now Gio has to worry about it. That said, Roffle don't have the sight. Pat looking to plan. He's planning in a safe spot that he can't be shot from the hatch, and it doesn't look like Roffle have the vertical eyes, but they do at the moment. And Emo, no, he has to win that, and he doesn't. Wettables gets him back. Wettables has saved this round for Roflcopter, but Gio's keeping it alive for Wildcard. Not a lot of time here for him to make it work. There's a whole minute on the clock, but he's got 2 players to find. If anyone can do it, surely it's Gio with the ARX, but he's got to isolate these ones.
The Church of Geo may be in session, but look at this positioning from OJ. He's got absolutely no information, Geo does, and that is just a great round from Roflcopter adapting, there we go, we got there in the end, to that push from Wildcard, which honestly caught me completely off guard. Was not expecting that whatsoever. The Vert wins it for them, but Wettables, sharp, so damn sharp.
It's such a shame as well, really. I mean, I hate to say it, but that round probably should have been won by Wildcard. Wettables definitely saved them. I think that the turning point in the round was when Pat died. Wildcard had about a minute and a half left. They didn't have to plant straight away. They could have just kind of slowly kept baiting, and obviously the longer that Wildcard are inside, the more Roflcopter is scared. But Roflcopter kept really well composed. They focused on just denying that plant and not feeding picks. Like, there were 3 players in library who wanted to peek and drop that hatch, but they didn't feed any free picks to Gio. So really well played in the late round from Roflcopter to ensure that even though they lost control of the site, they wouldn't lose control of the round.
Oh. Asked where the round was going to come from, and I guess in a sense that is exactly how they find it. Just a small mistakes that are being made or that have been made. It's the whole premise of Rainbow Six is capitalizing on small mistakes that teams make, whether it be on their defense setup, the way that they're approaching an attack, or, for example, trying to go for an earlier plant when you've still got so much of the round left in it. And now we're going to see Roffle and what they've got for us on a second attempt here on this second floor. Wildcard, again, just methodical as ever in ensuring that they don't really waste too much time in getting into positions where they can start to hurt Roffle.
2 drones wasted now on this Aruni gate. Wettables has the gates plus 2 ADSs, another drone wasted, mate. That is... Pat's fully out of drones now as the primary droner for Wildcard. He's got nothing out of both of those drones. Bit of a mishap, in my opinion. He just needs to spam flashes down. I mean, they just need to commit. And it's not looking so great for Wildcard, as Milo has also been the first victim here. Downstairs, I believe that was. And Hotshot just rotates back. I mean, Wildcard really need to clear out Wettables, but they don't want to go into Garage and get the Vert for some reason, which is just going to make this really awkward.
You can see here 3 players with their crosshairs starting to cement into Wettables, but no one's going to be able to do anything. This is the big thing right now. Wettables is not under any pressure to move at all. Like, he's got 2 ADSs on the wall beside him, plus the fact that Wildcard really can't make a move into him without there being some sort of alarm bells rung. So if Wildcard continue to tunnel in on this, I think it's going to be to the detriment.
They just got to commit, surely. I mean, they have plenty of utility to clear out this player, but they're not seemingly doing it at the moment. Hotshot so close to having an angle onto these players in West Main. OJ also... there it is! No, he doesn't land the shot. Such a narrow angle. One tap. Good night, Gio. Jesus. This is not looking great for Wildcard. They haven't committed to their nades to that util clear of Wettables, who is just putting so much pressure on by sitting on a staircase and doing absolutely nothing.
It's insane. They've got like full Solarium control now, which means that they can kind of sit back and wait to see where Wildcard approach from. Emo pretty hungry to jump through bathroom window right now, but I mean, literally every single position is being watched from Roffle. Talk about T's crossed, I's dotted. Roflcopter, I mean, unless Wildcard do something unbelievable here, this has to be a round on the board for the defense.
A bomb has been
20 seconds to go. What have Wildcard got left? 3 players to try and push on forward. Pat completely choked out. Emo completely choked out. And Kakin can mop up what's left. Vinny will swing in, no doubt, to his death. And it's all on Pat who dies as well. Perfectly caught. The chaos of being a wildcard player, and Roflcopter have met par for the course. Only 4 rounds in, they found the 2 defenses they need to meet the average and to exceed the average defense win rate on this map.
From the promising start we saw from Wildcard to now Roflcopter just immediately stunting the progress that they can make. This is, I mean, concerning. I think that's the best way of putting this, Dev.
Really
and
is.
I know again, Wildcard, they don't really have anything to quote unquote play for in this. You know, it is more about dignity. It is more about setting yourself up so that when we get to promo relegations, you're firing on all cylinders, because that's where it's really going to matter. But this is just a test. This is the first test before we get there, and
It's kind of like what we were saying about Chiefs, though, right? Like, yeah, Wildcard could, in theory, right now, be not going too hard, just chill out, you know, save strats for relegations. But like, what is the point? Like, why on earth would you do that? Like, what Wildcard is missing right now is confidence and conviction and passion. And the only way they're going to get that back is by winning some games. Doesn't matter if it's a game that doesn't lead them to making playoffs or escaping relegations. They just need wins. I really cannot see it any other way. And I appreciate that there are definitely people out there who are like, Wildcard don't need to worry too much about this game because it's not going to affect their standings. They should just be putting their full focus into Apex South and relegations. But to those people, I say, that's a losing mentality. That's not really a winning mentality. And it's not like Wildcard are saving strategies. They're just doing fundamentals really poorly. And I really hope we can see this round a strong util clear of the stairs, because they're setting everyone up for it. They're just not throwing the utility correctly. And like, I hate to be, you know, that person, but they can do it. Like, I'm ready to watch this happen.
it's just insane as well, because this is the roster that we expect the most out of when it comes to the util usage.
Exactly.
Oh, I love this from Wedables. Oh, is he going to be able to catch this nade? The Geo Cox, that's unreal from Wedables. He had one in the pocket. Pat burns all the flashes, and Wedables sits there and says, thank you very much.
Okay, so maybe we didn't even give Wedables enough credit. That was such a good counter. Vinny tries to push in as a desperate way to clear out Wedables. Milo's also downstairs in garage. Like, that was a really good job from Wildcard. They did everything better than the previous 2 times they tried to clear that position. Thing is, Roflcopter read it like a boot. Great ADS juggle from Wedables and great cover of the trophy jump in from Hotshot. This is a team that is 2 steps ahead.
One in the pocket is worth 2 in the field, I guess you could say, because that right there from Wedables, my goodness. Now Wildcard have got to approach this in a completely different manner. You can see it right now. They're taking a completely different approach. This is big from Geo. If he can start to flush these players out from this top floor, they might be able to just pinch them a little bit in towards Solarium. But even then, I just feel like Rofl are so well posed with a minute left. What are Wildcard going to be able to achieve?
Well, they can use the exothermic to breach open the master wall, and now the dining wall as well. So they have eyes on the site, and they have eyes above the site to deny Vert. This is realistically all that Wildcard need. It'll be challenging to cover with reduced manpower, but 100% Wildcard have got what it takes to win this.
Oh, jeez. Hotshot giving him an opportunity, but Boydie is straight there for the trade. He's now going to hope that Emo doesn't push past him. Emo! How good is that spray control? 2 players left here for Rofl as Wildcard are all but set to take this round.
Kakin does have 1 gas left, and this could save it for Roflcopter. Wildcard have only 10 seconds to make this execute work as they need to push forward. Kakin can find Pat, and OJ jumps into the fray. Roflcopter hold on. A fantastic late round anchor, and they take the lead in this match.
I mean, you still think that even Roffle does everything right there. Emo's coming from behind to try and pinch the players in that are stuck in kitchen and trying to fight from hallway. And still Roffle hold on. Kakin, solid performance there. Alongside, I believe that was OJ? I want to say it was OJ. This is, I mean, this is a bit of a Debbie Downer for Wildcard now. 3-2 with the opportunity for Roflcopter to push a 4th round here. But how juicy this storyline gets, Dev, because now we're going to have to wait until the final game to see who is locked in for the playoff spot should Roflcopter win in regulation.
That's it. Roflcopter will be fighting with everything that they've got to try and lock in a playoff spot. They made it through stage 1 playoffs. They ended up in 3rd place for all of OCN in their first ever opening stage coming into the league. In stage 2, they didn't quite go as far. Stage 3, they might not even make it to playoffs. They need to win this game and hope that Knights put away Rhythm without any overtime. Roflcopter, though, they've exceeded the expectation here on their defense of Chalet, and they should be poised pretty well to lock this out on their attack. If they can win this final round of the half, though, this story may well be almost over for Wildcard.
You know, just very quickly before this round starts to unfold, thinking back to the conversation we just had about, you know, the difference between the Chiefs and Wildcard here, and the fact that both teams were kind of approaching this in a similar manner in terms of what there was to win or lose, if that makes sense. But here's the problem for Wildcard. Chiefs banned all their most played maps and went to a map that was relatively unknown in terms of stage 3, and more so their later matches that we've been watching. Whereas Wildcard, we've seen Chalet from them a couple of times, so they're leaning into this. They're showing us what they can have on Chalet, and right now it's just not all that convincing, I'll be completely honest. And this is a big sign right now. If Roflcopter take a 4th round straight, mental has to be in the bin.
Gio's in a good position, and Wildcard might get a free pick here from the Maverick. Holds into stock. Milo does get that free pick, so that's a great play from Wildcard. Kagan taken by storm, and on the back of it, the Lion charge to lock all the Roflcopter players in place.
Now with 1:20 left, Wildcard looking somewhat posed to have the better chance in this round. Hot shot in a very dangerous position. I think he's just been droned out. This is devastating for him if he's not careful. They can't capitalize on it just yet, but OJ finds the pick onto Gio as Pat makes his way into mud. 50 seconds and things are slipping a little bit for Wildcard here. They need to tidy this up.
A lot of players on site they need to deal with. Still, that Prisma, frustratingly, outside on the balcony, is constantly pinging them. It's Boydie, funnily enough. He was the player that said it was cringe when Overt did it to Roflcopter last week. Good crossfire maintained, though, by Roflcopter. Boydie not overextending. This Wildcard need an opening here. They need to find the opening pick, but it just doesn't work out for them once again. Milo steps up, 2-on-2. Wedables once again. It's all Milo.
He's made his way into gaming. Backstall might be the option here. Diffuser is in mud. He's got to go and pick this up or try to isolate the 1v2. My goodness, Roflcopter 4 straight. They go in 4-2 to the second half. Yep.
4-2 for Roflcopter. The Wildcard storyline has been a tragedy. It's like one of those long sagas with like 12 installments, and every single book or season, another one of your favorite characters dies, and you're like, why am I still watching? This is just depressing.
Yeah, and then you get to the 8th season, and it's even more depressing because of the
and
way
then they
they
just
finish
ruin
it.
They just ruin it on the final season in the reduced with less episodes than the rest, and you're just like, why?
And all the storylines coming together, and like all the story arcs just fall to pieces.
Yeah, and then your favorite characters turn out to be bad guys, and you're like, what?
They did us dirty, man. They did
really
us so
did.
dirty.
Wildcard, that is.
Yes, yeah. Definitely the Lannis. Sorry, Wildcard. Very disappointed in this. But look,
it's been a game of Wildcard. It's
Yeah.
and I mean, either you win your games or you die in relegations. And Wildcard, they've only won one game in all of OCN Stage 3, and all of those 5 other games that they have lost, they didn't even push overtime.
yeah,
They could be literally 1-007 if they lose this. 006, actually. No, damn it, I really ruined that. I thought it was going to be 007.
Yeah, you did.
God damn it.
You
Well, there you
went
go.
so hard on that.
My joke had about as good execution as the finale of Game of Thrones, so.
Yeah, honestly. I think, honestly, I was less disappointed in the execution of your point than I was of that. So, you know, that goes to say, that says a little bit. I don't know about what, but it does say something. Now, one thing we can say, Dev, and I don't mean, like, I say this in a joking manner, but I don't mean to say this in a joking manner. Wildcard have been consistently inconsistent. They have just been consistently the worst team that we've had for OCN in terms of where we had them pinned in for. I hate it. I hate
Such a
saying
shame.
that. But it, you know, at least they haven't disappointed us in their in their consistency, if that makes sense.
I mean, they had some good games. Like, they had some good wins. And they did, though. Like, they beat Chiefs in APAC South. OCN hasn't been so great for them. Where was the one win that they got? Let me just quickly have a look. They beat Order 7-2 on Chalet, on this very map. But I feel like that's almost a reflection of Order falling from grace, rather than Wildcard redeeming themselves.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think we've seen, of all 21 matches that Wildcard could have won, I believe it's something like 5 matches we've only been able to see them win. 6 matches tops. And look at this, my God! Roflcopter are just running all over them. I'm sure Rhythm is watching this match right now, just begging Wildcard to pull it together so that they don't have as much pressure on their shoulders when it comes to that final match against Knights. But regardless, it does feel like Roffle are just on a different par, and yeah, this is really, really a bad situation.
It's very exciting for Roflcopter. Coming into Stage 3, they made 2 roster changes. They lost Bounson, their best player. We weren't sure they would have what it takes, but they might just do now. OJ might find a pick here, I believe, as the wall is opened up. Pat put pressure. Boydie looking to push up 20 seconds on the clock now for Roflcopter.
15 seconds.
Boydie, my goodness, nice shot from Gio. It's again Wedables that are finding trade in these final couple of minutes, but look at that again. Gio standing strong, there's only one player up, and it is Wedables. Finds the shot onto Gio and Emorin. Oh, it's just the timer that's ticking down. So unfortunate. No, not the frost mat. Not the frost mat. Any other way but the frost mat. Oh, well, Wildcard bounced back. That's one they needed.
Great clutch there for Imo. I know he's been a player who's particularly hard on himself during Wildcard's strife, their troubles, their very significant lull. But Emorin, no doubt, has been one of the most consistent players on this team. And always we look to Emorin as the most experienced member of this roster. And he rarely disappoints. He managed to get a 1v5 ace against the Knights recently, which was good fun.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
Still wasn't enough to get them in overtime, though, unfortunately. So also, cops double digits already. The only other player in the server to do so is Wedables. You can always count on Old Faithful Emorin to get the job done.
Yeah.
But how many more rounds can Wildcard find on this defense? They will need 4 rounds from the defense to push overtime, or 5 in order to close it out in regulation. Neither would affect their standing significantly. I believe there is a world in which they end up 7th instead of 8th. I'm just going to double check that now. Yeah, so they can, if Order lose their game, which they probably will, and Wildcard at least get, I mean, I'm being realistic, mate, they're playing Bliss, and Wildcard get at least 1 point here, then Wildcard will be 7th on the ladder and they'll jump over Order, which won't affect Wildcard going to relegations, but it'll affect the stage standings and a little bit of the prize money that comes through with that.
Whatever you can take away, I guess you need to at this point, because there just isn't a lot of promise from what we'd hoped to see. These earlier starts of the round have been really quiet. We're not really seeing the action kick off until about the minute mark. But one thing that both teams are doing quite well, considering you take into account the bans on the attacking side. And I would dare say it's probably why we've seen such a sway toward the defender-sided rounds is, a lot of that util clear has kind of been taken out. You don't have the Rotero drones, you don't have those EMP grenades, so it's a little bit harder, but still, we are asking big questions from Roffle here to adapt and make sure that with these 2 minutes left in this round, they do what they need to do early on so they can set themselves up for success.
We saw a lot of really strong opening picks from runouts when it was Roflcopter on the defense. And we haven't seen that same level of aggression from Wildcard's own. But I would like to see it. They have the Valk, they have those cams available to look for these aggressive takes. Now Geo is holding on to Solar and waiting for the util spam to come through. He actually managed to get back into Bathroom, but he loses a bit of HP for it. Hot shot on the Lion, and Vinny does find the opener. A C4 from Imorin through the floor of the master bedroom. What a huge play, and he takes down the player on the window. Wildcard looks so much more comfortable on their defense.
That was gorgeous. Just the timing of all of that coming together. And I was about to praise Roflcopter for their use of the smokes to allow them to take Solarium control, but never mind that, because Wildcard adapt. Boydie now, he's going to be able to cut off that rotate around, but he's got to be careful. Geo now hearing and pinging out the one member. Wedables again, finding himself an opening pick that trades things back, but it's Boydie that goes down. Geo, his game sense is just far too strong. Hot shot's got to go massive.
1v4. Wildcard not giving him anything. Now pinged out as well. Milo has a good crossfire. Geo goes down. Milo actually abandons his teammate in favor of falling back to site. Now 20 seconds to go. Hot shot. Not likely to have a leg in for this one.
Nah, he's working on old intel right now. Hunting around for 1 kill. But where is the kit? It won't make a difference at this point. 10 seconds left. He needs to find 3 players, and he will not get past Molosca. 4-4 as Rhythm, not Rhythm, Roffle. There we go. We got there in the end as Roffle call attack.
They certainly need their tactical pause at the moment. Now, Roflcopter in Stage 3 actually have made the addition of their coach. Campo, formerly of the fielding roster, has moved into that position. He can support them a little bit in moments like this. We have a tactical pause for Roffle. They certainly need it. I mean, I was not expecting Wildcard to come out strong on the defense, but they certainly have.
Yep. They have, and I guess, that first opening round of the half is always so crucial. Setting yourself up on the right path is something that you cannot underestimate. And I think that should Roffle have won that round, it'd be a very, very different discussion. And there was opportunities for them too. Roffle had started off well. They were looking to kind of, topple the dominoes, if to say. But it's just the power of individual players for Wildcard is, at any given point, no matter where they are in the standings, no matter where they are in a match, one individual player on their team could really step up. And I guess that's why we're so disappointed as to where they are right now. It's just because we know that every single player, I mean, just look at the star-studded names that Wildcard have. Imorin, Geo, Pat, Vinny, Milo. It's just like a star-studded lineup that just can't seem to click right now.
That said, at what point do we start giving Wildcard some credit that they're on for the comeback here? You just look, they're a lot more animated than they were when we were looking at them before. Now, Wildcard are not a team that have some very animated people, but I mean, even this is considered slightly more animated for Wildcard, believe it or not. It just looks a little bit less somber. I see Emo Rin actually talking, which is always nice as well. I feel like they can make it work here. I think that the 2 rounds back-to-back on defense have given them a bit of confidence that they perhaps hadn't expected.
Yeah. Credit where credit's due now. And animation aside, oh, there's a smile. Oh,
Look at him go.
When he smiles like that, goodness me. It is nice to see. It is nice to see. And again, we know that they are well and truly locked in for relegation. So I guess you're kind of just taking this one step at a time and ensuring that you do find yourself in a position where come relegations, you're feeling comfortable as a team, because that's really the key factor.
So,
they have to be able to do so.
Relegation is not going to be a walk in the park either for Wildcard. Now,
Nope.
OCL, we have had Overt come up from OCL. We've seen what they can do.
Yep.
And while there aren't as many teams as strong as Overt still remaining in OCL, we do have Fury, who did take down Overt in that grand final for stage 2. We have some other upcoming teams like Big Dogs and a couple others that have really been putting the pressure on Fury as well. Wildcard likely to face Fury or one of these other teams in... I think that Wildcard should probably end up 8th, right? So probably means they'll face Fury, I believe. Which won't be the easiest game. And there's a serious chance that Wildcard will be relegated out of OCN completely. And while they can't prevent that from happening here, I mean, it's like we've been saying, they just need a win. It's like when you wake up in the morning, you're like, today I just need a win. Like, I need to turn the coffee machine on and, you know, it doesn't burn my coffee. I just need a win. Like, I need to go for a walk outside and the sun actually comes out. That's where where Wildcard are at right now, facing against Roflcopter.
Are you trying to say that they're down bad? Is that what you're trying to say?
They are down bad.
Yeah, they really are. It does feel quite harmful to be talking about it in that light, but it is just at the end of the day what we've got on the agenda for this roster. But I'm waiting. I am waiting for the day that they knock our socks off and we just end up standing here being like, this is what we wanted. This is what we wanted to see for so damn long. But, you know, on the flip side, you're talking about OCL teams, you're referencing Fury, referencing Big Dogs. I know there's a couple more in there that we'd probably highlight when it does get later into their stage 3, because I believe they've only played 2 matches at the moment. Roflcopter, perfect example of a team coming up from OCL, you know, from the tier 2 scene, breaking down all barriers in the last promo relegations that we had for 2020. You know, they have done phenomenally well. They've really pushed the envelope in a lot of different aspects. They have been to every single playoffs that we've had for OCN season 2021. And now they're on the verge of potentially booking a 3rd spot. But this is where they need to step up, and this is really the opportunity, the last opportunity they're going to have to make it 3 in a row, which I think for a roster stepping into OCN from OCL, I think that's impressive.
It certainly is. I mean, while Roflcopter technically didn't play in OCL in its current format, they played in the old LPL Pro, which is essentially the same thing. I'm not doing that to have a go at you. I'm doing that to protect you from all the people who are in chat right now saying...
Oh, that's why I said the tier 2 scene.
Yeah, I know. I respect that. See, I got you back,
come at me, chat. Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to tell me off?
Add him on Twitter. What is it? At Manic Monday?
Nah, at XenoxCasts.
That's it, eh?
By the way, while I'm there, damn all OCL.
Yeah, please just go at XenoxCasts and say, why do you hate OCL so much?
Please, actually, no, I just flood it. Just flood his Twitter right now. Let's see if he's watching. See if he's watching the chat right now, or if he's watching the game. Because if he is, he'll see it coming. If not, I'm already expecting a message in the Discord. You know, nah, he's just gonna. Come on, man. We gotta know Xenox a little bit better by now. You know. Maybe one ear to the ground sometimes, but the man, he takes his time, you know? He takes his time.
He does. And by the way, we are taking our time at the moment just to reconnect Vincia, who's having some technical issues getting back into the game. But 4-4 now for Wildcard. They have hit par for the course already. Like we said, 63% attacker win rate on Chalet in OCN Stage 3, which would definitely hint towards a 4-2 half for the attack. Wildcard have already found their 2 defense rounds to meet that. Roflcopter found 4, however, so Wildcard will have to match that to push OT or exceed that to win in regulation. Which, to be honest, I'm actually starting to have a bit more confidence in them. I think that Wildcard's attacks were pretty abysmal, and I was really disappointed. But Roflcopter, I don't think it's necessarily that their attacks are bad. I think Wildcard's defense are actually really, really good.
I guess this is it is the conversation that we're having around the bans as well, is that it was going to hinder the attacks a little bit more. You know, we're going to have a cheeky little look at the replays as we continue to talk about this. But one player that I think has been phenomenal for Roflcopter in this instance is Wettables. He's had so many rounds where, you know, push comes to shove in those final 20, 30 seconds, and he's really going large. This, for example, he went absolutely mental holding on. Okay, never mind. He was up. Okay. I thought he was the player stuck behind fireplace.
I mean, he did. He got the kill from above. I mean, it's still credit to him. Like, that was still a really good play, you know? He read the situation really well.
Yep.
Definitely been a bit of a Wettables emo show. It's Wettables for Roflcopter, emo Rin for Wildcard. That said, of course, it's a team game, and Chalet is one of those maps where you need to pressure everywhere as an attacking squad. You need to have presence all over the map to really cut off these defending positions and cut people, and kind of similar for the defense story as well. And that means that you can't rely on just one player, right? Because you need strong presence everywhere. If you have 4 weak players and 1 strong player, it's going to be really easy for the opposition to just break through in the weakest link of the chain. So while we are seeing individual players step up on both sides, it is a team effort, and there's no one I would highlight as dropping the ball at the moment. Yeah,
and after all, the old saying goes, Dev, strong as your weakest link, and that really has rung true for, I think, a number of teams. I think that we're seeing it so much recently. Oh, it looks like we're getting underway. I can see players getting more comfortable again. But
I see some star jumps from these boys. I want to see Gio and Chad jump up, some star jumps, I don't know, some stretching. Just really flex the muscles, like get in their heads, you know? That's what I want to see.
Oh, I'd love to, but I just I couldn't imagine Wildcard are going to be the roster to do that. Let's be completely honest. I could see maybe Vinny to an extent. You know, maybe he might get up and about, but you know, even now he's just got a smile on his face, getting ready for that game. And I think that, you know, where I was leading with that conversation is the fact that I think a lot of teams have realized, you know, that you can't have one player that doesn't follow the format of what you're doing. And Wildcard and Roflcopter are good examples of that. In the new meta, they're still, I'm not going to say stuck, but they're still using that kind of approach that we saw in 2020 of, you know, util heavy and slow and methodical. Yeah, like it, and both rosters have been like that for, God, longer than I can remember now. I think Roffle had really highlighted that in Stage 1 and shown us what they can do, whilst other rosters have kind of lent into the frag heavy, lent into the roams, into the insane plays. But in my honest opinion, as long as you've got 5 players on board, all following the same theory of, you know, the way that you're trying to play, I don't see anything wrong with it. And I think that for Wildcard, there really is just this, there's going to be this tipping point where things just connect and they just fly.
Well, onus is on Roflcopter to step up. Now that they are yet to win an attack round, they move back on their attack here. On the attacker-sided Chalet, that has certainly not been an attacker-sided match so far. 6 rounds of defense to only 2-1 on the attack. And Boydie brings the IQ. Previously on the Twitch and the Jackal, we're seeing a slight change of heart. Kakin's also brought the Zafira instead of the Yana previously. So sacrificing a little bit on the info gathering of the Yana to get a little bit more, well, I guess firepower if you prefer the M762, but primarily you're just changing around the utility a little bit. You're getting those concussions back into the fray as well. And Kakin's taken some really good ground now as we move for a master take. Boydie being really, really thorough here, making sure there are no Valk cams, keeping an eye on this push. What was that he cleared? That's not where the Waldenar would be. Can we maybe have a look at the overhead, Mandy? We've got our lovely observer. She'll just be a couple seconds delayed usually in hearing us. Maybe she'll just ego me and pretend I didn't say anything. That's fair enough.
What are they saying? Was it maybe a shield? I don't.
That's what I was thinking, but I've never seen a shield in that spot before.
It'd be gamer, but there is, I mean, like, wall denial, nada. So, yeah, really curious to see what that approach was.
Could be anything, yeah. Nonetheless, good progress now from Roflcopter as they get a breach on the wall, thanks to Hibana. Now Milo holding onto Piano. He's the most pivotal player here for Wildcard. As long as Milo is alive, it's going to be very difficult for Roflcopter to plant. Gio also downstairs, I could say very much the same story, but he's feeling the pressure from 2 angles and lit up once again. Roflcopter have some great positions, but they haven't drawn first blood.
Not yet. That just feels like that first step, but with 30 seconds left, I mean, this is really going to get quite dangerous here. Things are going to just go bang in an instant, Dev. And, I mean, wow, you can see exactly what Roflcopter are starting to do. They are really setting up for that southern side. Wildcard are just waiting for them.
OJ is going to have to go big here because Hotshot's gone down and Boydie traded back. OJ pushed in from the balcony and fell, and Wildcard have been squarely in control. That push was just insufficient from Roflcopter. Too little, too late, and Wildcard can easily counter that.
Well, 1 round away from locking Roflcopter out of playoffs. Got to remember, Rhythm have the head-to-head with Roffle. So if Wildcard take match point, even if Roflcopter send it to overtime and win, they're only going to be able to accumulate 2 points. Now, that doesn't make the Rhythm and Knights game, you know, kind of like a dead rubber game, as some would call it. Rhythm still have 3 points on the line where they could potentially finish third because of their head-to-head with Chiefs. It's quite large. Not only that, but I have no doubt that next game, Knights and Order, Knights and Order, Bliss and Order is probably going to go a little bit more of a more sound way. I think it's the best way to explain that one, Dev.
Yeah, look, I think you said it perfectly. Roflcopter need 3 straight attacks now. They haven't won a single one so far. Their defense was strong, and their attack has been incredibly lackluster. Both teams struggling to attack here on Chalet, very much against the grain of what we've seen in OCN. Roflcopter have now unsuccessfully attacked Bar, Kitchen, and Master, and now Wildcard will go back and repeat all 3 of those bomb sites. Roflcopter need to win those rounds, all of them, in order to keep their playoff dream alive. Like you said, even then, they'll be hoping that Rhythm gets 0 points from their Knights game. So Roflcopter looks like in the next 2 minutes, we may see them knocked out of playoffs contention for stage 3.
This is the round that'll do it. A lot of pressure on Roffle. Lots. They cannot afford to let it slip. Goodness me, Milo. That could have been cheeky, but nevertheless, Boydie continues to do work on the scanner, ensuring that any electronics that are seen are dealt with. And I would say this sweep from, Solarium side, Kitchen side across has been very effective so far from Roffle.
It's an old style attack. We're not seeing many teams go for this more traditional, just solar across. You want to clear the top of library stairs and the big pillar positions. Most teams these days are doing a much more lurk-centric push where they take downstairs control. I actually like this from Roffle. I never fully understood why this push went out of meta, especially with the Wamai band. I think there's some serious shot here for Roflcopter to get this job done. They have a lot of explosives still remaining and a lot of flashes to clear out the ADSs. Here come the flashes, and here comes the Gon 6. That shield should be destroyed, and indeed, Geo now under the pump doesn't have the shield to play behind, and instead we're relying on Milo and Vinny to really support that position.
Now the question is, Roffle have kind of done that first point, and that is the second right there. It was either to deal with the deployable shield or the player behind it, and they've done both. Milo now somewhat isolated from Geo as Geo gets aggressive. This could be the play right now, but he is droned out. Roflcopter really doing their due diligence here. Time efficiency is on point. They just need to deal with Milo now.
Oh, that's a good
God.
pick. Geo's in a strong position as well, and Milo supports him, and Geo goes down. Wedables once again, always the saving grace for Roflcopter. Man advantage to the attack, and Wildcard once again on the back foot. They only won this bomb site previously on the back of a 1v2 clutch from Emo, but this time Roflcopter's not going to let it happen.
No, they are not. Wedables through the vertical hole. Just another one to add to the tally. 13 at the moment as Pat now has to try and play from backstory. He's got to be careful because Wedables is going to be watching the line. Can they deny the diffuser? No, they can't. And now it's just Pat in a 1 versus 3.
Completely caught in the crossfire. Roflcopter, they make that old faithful attack strategy work wonders. And finally, stop the bleeding, at least for now. They get their first attack round of the half of the match. And a little bit of rain has finally come in this drought. They're going to need 3 rounds in total. They're going to need 2 more in a row now in order to keep that playoff dream alive.
Well and truly on the cards. I'm sure rhythms, prayers have been heard in Wildcard bouncing back in the second half, but is this where it stops? Is this where Roflcopter take over? We did see 4 straight from them after Wildcard opened up the game with 2 rounds. So we have seen them string these together before. Again, the pressure on the shoulders of Roffle. A 3rd consecutive playoff spot is on the line. They cannot afford to make any mistakes. And so we really do see what this team is made of as we head to these final 2 rounds of regulation.
And on the back of this tactical timeout, Roflcopter have made really, really good. While they did lose the first round back from it, they've now managed to recompose. With an even scoreline as well, Roflcopter are certainly showing that they can still play here, that they can still have a shot on their attacks of Chalet, but they need to keep up this momentum. They need to keep rolling with the punches. Wildcard, on the other hand, had a very, very strong kitchen dining defense. We saw a great vertical C4 from Emo. We saw an opening pick as well go Wildcard's way. Roflcopter need to make sure they commit and get the job done.
Again, with these sweeps, Dev.
It's the right play. It's got to be.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, it has shown a variety of success and failure. It does come down to, I feel like it's been time, it's been how quickly Roffle can start to open things up and really force Wildcard back to sight, try and ensure they're bunkering down. These vertical lines, we saw it in the first half, these were detrimental for some of the rounds that Wildcard were trying to take. So no doubt Roffle know the importance of, at the very least, keeping Wildcard at bay here as they start to approach and figure out exactly what they're looking to do. Boydie should be able to deal with the charges on the wall. It's the electric claws from Emo in.
Scanning. Stay sharp.
Roflcopter have started to change their push compared to last time. They're going for much more staple south side push. They've got so much map control, and now they've cleared the util off the wall, so OJ could get a breach if he wants. Wedables also. If OJ gets some Excaris on the wall, though, Emo may be able to counter that. That's going to be an easy trick on all 12 of those pellets.
No.
And now OJ must have been just a little bit less, 10 pellets, as OJ still has 8 left. He's going to get a breach on the side. That'll expose Emo's position. That's huge. And if Wedables can come, there's still a shot for Roflcopter to get a really nice, large breach on this dining wall.
It's devastating for the time management regardless, though. The one in the pocket for Emo in that Electroclaw has worked an absolute treat. Now they're going to try to make this work. Pat, he could do some serious damage here. He's going to be able to deny that entrance point for at least a little bit longer. 40 seconds left, but K-Kin hits a really crisp shot, looking for a little bit more into Kitchen as well. Wildcard have to be careful not to overextend here. Oh, K-Kin again!
This is the saving grace for Roflcopter as the 5v3, and they have an entrance. OJ is forcing that diffuser down. There doesn't seem to be any pressure through the vertical angles. Milo does find the lead off. Wedables tries to cover, but plant denied. And now Wedables has to get this down. Vinny has the angles from above. The shots ringing back and forth, but Vincent steps up hugely. It's only hot shot left, and it looks like Wildcard might just find match points and deny Roflcopter Stage 3 playoffs.
Oh, it's utterly devastating for Roflcopter. Utterly devastating. A 3 versus 5. We prefaced it early on there, Dev. The vertical holes were going to be crucial. And it is so hard to flush out the defense on that top floor. There's so much utility they have to play behind. The reinforced walls make it nigh impossible to penetrate. And this is just a devastating outcome for Roflcopter. They now have to hope that they can force this to OT and still take the dub no matter what. Regardless of where their Stage 3 playoffs lie, that is out of their hands now. They cannot do anything about that. We need to see the resilience of them. But so far, so good for Wildcard's defense here on Chalet.
Indeed, Wildcard have done the 4. They've matched what Roflcopter were able to achieve. Now if Wildcard can get 5 defenses in this half by rounding out this round, that's the match for them. That's a 3-pointer in the books. The second win Wildcard have found of all 7 matches that they have played in Stage 3 of OCN. Wildcard, for them, this has got to be a huge boost of confidence. Roflcopter has had Wildcard's number in Stage 1 and in Stage 2. Consistently, Roflcopter have been the team that has put Wildcard behind them. And now it looks like Wildcard will finally have the last laugh. They've already denied Roffle playoffs. Let's see if they can also deny them a single point from this match.
So if Wildcard are able to secure this win, it will be their 7th win of the season, which, thinking back, you know, retrospectively, is just absolutely insane. That is 7 out of 21 games. I don't need to do the quick math for you, but it is only a third. However, it will still be something that will give them, you know, just, again, it's not even about the points right now. It's just about that camaraderie between this roster and feeling kind of more joined at the hip with each other, because that's what they're going to need. This playoffs that, well, the relegation playoffs, I should say, that are looming large is really something that you do not want to be taking any opportunities on. Boydie, god damn, just swings on an emo rin, but the timing's not there.
Drones have really fallen to pieces here for Roflcopter. Only 4 left all game long. And this is going to be very, very difficult now for Roffle to push on forward with less than half their drones remaining, with just about half the round remaining. They're going to need to make sure they can make good on these 2 shields set up in Piano. Now they've got a breach on the main master wall, but they need to clear out Geo below, and they need to clear out these players in Piano in order to guarantee a strong execute.
This could be a sure thing if Emo can play off the back of Milo. The question is, do they have any more projectiles to take down the explosives, to take down that shield that's playing around from Milo? It looks like it might be the case here. Milo gets aggressive, finds hot shot and backs away. He's not punished for it. And now Roflcopter, they've still got so much to do.
It looks like Wildcard might find their second win of OCN Stage 3. Geo makes a great C4, Kobe! But OJ's forcing that plant down just shy of the smoke. Milo denies, and Wildcard will be revitalized. A flawless round for their second win of Stage 3.
Commiserations, of course, to the boys on Roffle, but this is Wildcard's game to celebrate as a team. This is something that they need to take with them. They need to build upon this. You can see there's, you know, some smirks. There's some smiles, Dev. Animation on the roster that might indicate, hey, we've got this.
Absolutely. Wildcard victory, something we don't get to see too much these days. No doubt they will be very happy, very relieved. Even though there weren't many implications on the overall standings, this will confirm, I believe, that Wildcard will be 7th, not 8th, depending on Order's result, but I think that they should be pretty confident that Order probably won't win that game. Wildcard going to be very happy about that win.
Vast, welcome back to the desk. A 7-5 victory for Wildcard. You had predicted 7-4, I believe it was, but nevertheless, the boys in red pulled through with this game. Are we happy with that? Is it something for Wildcard to build on?
I mean, you know, it wasn't necessarily a clean win, but a win's a win in their situation. As Dev mentioned, you know, there may have not been much importance on this game in terms of what it means, but for the team, you know, in their situation, a win is definitely going to, you know, kind of spark a bit of, you know, confidence and help the morale. So I think it's a really important win in that regard.
Yeah. How'd you see this one play out, Vast? Because, you know, I think that you were spot on with your analysis before the game. You know, it was a slow and steady approach in pretty much every round. It felt like most rounds were down to 30, 20 seconds before the execution. Is this really what we expected?
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams, they are really... it's kind of hard to describe them, but they're kind of... I don't want to say stuck in their ways, but they are quite habitual. Like, they kind of don't really tend to change their play style, so it's kind of easy to predict that they're going to play this way. You know, and especially on Chalet, it is kind of a map that is about utility and gaining map control, so it is naturally you know, more of a slower map. And when you have two teams like this playing each other, yeah, the game's going to, you know, be a bit slower, slow pace, more about util clearing power positions and gaining map control.
Yeah. Dev, I mean, this is the kind of the emo Rin that we expected. Geo kind of popping back off, and Milo having his impact once again. I mean, signs are looking somewhat positive as we head toward the end of this stage.
Yeah, definitely. I think Emo in particular has been quite a shining light for Wildcard. It's amazing to see this player be so consistent over such a long period of time. Really just a great player, even though he's not always the most confident player outside the server. It's great to see him deliver results, and I think that that's what Wildcard need. They need confidence. They need to just, you know, get out of their own heads, and I think that this win is certainly a step towards that.
Well, we got Vinny waiting by, so let's bring him in for a quick chatterino. Of course, we always get some good insight with you, Vinny, so it's good to have you back on the desk. Only 2 times we've seen you in OCN for Stage 3, but it's still good to see that smiling face of yours, mate. Like, I'm just going to ask you, you know, overall, where is the team at in terms of morale right now?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster at this stage, actually. It's been a bit of up and down. I think we've shown much better performances in the other league that we play in Apex South as compared to OCN, but in terms of OCN, we just take each week as it comes. It can sometimes be a bit hard to prep for the teams that we're playing against, but we do our best, and yeah, just looking at relegations now.
I mean, that's it's a tough situation you guys are in. You know, when we talk about you guys, I think the questions that arise is always about kind of your mental. When you guys are in, you know, these losing situations, you know, I kind of want a bit of insight on who's kind of the players within your team that really try to get you guys out of those tough situations.
I mean, you know, we've made it, I don't know, very apparent this stage that our performances have been on every player. It hasn't been on any individuals, and we're not ever going to single anybody out. It's the way that we've played as a team, and bringing Rousty on has helped a lot as well, having that kind of outside opinion that can, you know, kind of shed light on things that individuals might not see. And I don't know, it's just been about keeping headstrong and, you know, keeping the morale high, even though our performances haven't really shown that. But just looking forward to next stage.
Yeah, well, speaking of, great segue. Obviously, your OCN Stage 3 has now come to an end. You haven't qualified for the playoffs. Your APAC Stage 3 is still ongoing, and look, you do have a shot in for playoffs there still, but the big thing is as well relegations, which will be coming up at the end of the year. Will you be playing in OCN 2022? That question you're going to have to answer. So a lot of stakes for you guys. What do you need to focus on at the moment? Like, what is the number one, the number two thing that as a team you guys are working through? What are your action points to making sure that you can see improvement?
Well, yeah, now that the OCN stage is done, our full focus is on APAC South. We still have 2 matches left and a very real shot at making playoffs. We're still not out of the water, out of the water yet for APAC South. We're still at a chance of getting relegated in that league as well. So we're doing everything we can to stay afloat. And, you know, those last 2 games are really important for us. We're just looking at what we can improve on the maps that we've already been working on. There's a few maps that we haven't shown as much of that we hope we can bring out, but yeah, right now it's just all focused on APAC South.
And that's fair enough, Vinny. I think that there's been a fair bit of pressure on all of your shoulders, and I'm sure it might be somewhat of a relief to know that, you know, OCN's kind of locked in and that's not the worry anymore. It's APAC South. Look, mate, I want to leave it on a nice note for you guys because, of course, it is a win on the final Playday, and it's something to, at the very least, smile about. But I want to leave this with you. You know, do you have any final words for anyone watching at home?
Yeah, we just, you know, I'm sure I speak on behalf of the team in saying that we're fairly disappointed with this stage and this season in OCN, but I'm sure that we'll be back next stage once we make it out of Relos.
I have no doubt that you will be, Vinny, and I'm sure we might see it one more time at the very least in APAC South, so keep that smile going.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that's it. Kind of that did feel a little bit somber, I think, and I think that it's what we expected, but not what we wanted, Dev.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit somber, but I mean, we did kind of throw him under the bus with our questions because we were saying, like, you know, why are you guys playing so poorly? What, you know, is your mental in the bin? You know, these questions kind of.
I didn't. I was just asking how the boys are feeling after a win. All right, don't you throw me under the bus, Xenox.
To be fair, like, you know, that is the situation they're in, right? And we can't beat around the bush too much there. You know, when I was asking Vinny, like, what is the focus right now? What are the action points? I was hoping he'd give us a bit more of a bigger picture insight. Like you said, yeah, it's APAC South, but I still have unanswered questions about Wildcard. And it's like, what are they actually doing to make sure that not the micro, like their map pool and their play style, but like the macro, what is actually going to change to get this team out of their rut? Because I think it's more than just a strategy here or you know, a map diversity or whatever here. Like, I think it's a bigger, wider issue that we've been seeing with Wildcard over the whole course of the year. I think it stems from motivation, mental, all of these things kind of bundled together that has just made it such a rough slog for them. And that's what I want to see change. Like, I want something at the root to be fixed because I think everything will follow.
I guess all we can do now is wait and see whether it will, Dev, because they are off to relegations regardless. But we're going to go to a short break on the other side. It's Bliss and Order, so don't go anywhere.
Bomb located by attackers. 10 seconds remaining. Attackers dropping. 5,
Order now at macros.com.au.